Well, good afternoon. Welcome to CROWD Church. It kind of left me hanging on for a little bit there. I was expecting my picture to be on screen a little bit sooner. But welcome to CROWD Church.
Sorry, Matt. Are you wanting a little bit more screen time this afternoon than you had? We'll make up those few seconds a little bit later on if we can.
That's great. But I was just kind of like, is it coming on? Is it not coming on?
Any minute now.
Welcome to CROWD Church. Great to have you. Great that you're here with us. Joining us here on CROWD Church. For those of you who are new to the live stream, welcome. We are a church. For those that might not see the point of church, we're looking for the answers for a meaningful life. Wherever you are in your Christian faith, wherever your walk, you are welcome here as we dig into and understand why perhaps Jesus is the most amazing, inspirational figure in all of human history. That's the plan. That's what we're getting into.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have put it better myself, Matt. Yeah, welcome everybody. We hope you feel really, really welcome here today. We hope you join in. Please feel free to kind of put some comments in, say hi, tell us where you're watching from, and we would love to hear from you. And we've had a few people already say hi. Hi to Nicola and Matt and James and Dan. Hi, Patrick. Lovely to have us with you. I think Patrick says, watching it on a smartphone this afternoon in this lovely spring Sunday afternoon. So very warm welcome to everyone. Do get involved. Absolutely. Lots of opportunities, Matt, isn't there, to get involved in CROWD Church?
There is, absolutely. And as you said, Sal, commenting is one of the key ways that you can do that this afternoon. Absolutely. You can comment, you can like, you can share it out, whether you are on Facebook or on YouTube. Patrick is on YouTube. There's a few other folks on YouTube. So yeah, it's great that we can do this to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Still don't get how it works, but somehow it works.
I don't have to worry about that bit. And it just happens somehow. I'm just glad that it just happens somehow. I just click the button and start talking, and then I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I don't need to know any more detail than that. That's great. Absolutely. So I'm going to put it on the screen before Sal tells me to. This is a WhatsApp number. If any of you would like to reach out to us through WhatsApp, you are more than welcome to do so, especially if you would like us to pray for you about anything that obviously you do not want to put in the comments of YouTube and Facebook. A number of folks do get in touch with us and say, listen, can you pray about, whatever it is you would like us to pray about? We would love to do that for you. So you can get in touch with us via the WhatsApp, as we would love to pray for you. And you don't even need to believe in God for us to pray for you. It's genuinely one of those. We would love to do it. So wherever you are, whatever you need, do get in touch. That's the WhatsApp number. Sal, do you want to point to it? Oh, Matt. Gosh, every week. Look, he's done. Look, let me explain. If you're watching this for the first time, it's reversed, okay? This is reversed. So I try and do it first time. I can never do it. There you go. Matt, you point to it, Matt. Matt's always able to do it first time, I think. Go on, Matt, you do it. Why is it so hard for me? I don't.
It's just hysterical. And you'll be pleased to know, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know Sal is a school teacher. Yes, she is. She teaches our kids on how to do all things educational. So yeah,
fortunately that's not on the national curriculum, so I'm actually all right with that one. That's okay.
My camera's gone blurry. Hang on a second. Why is it doing this? I'm just going to reset. There we go.
Your hands. There we go. Oh, there we go. We can see Matt's haircut in all its glory now.
You'll be pleased to know I had a haircut.
Looking good, looking fresh, Matt. I'm liking it.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate it. It's nice to, just go and get the whole thing lopped off. So, especially now.
Do you feel like lighter in yourself? Do you feel your head feel lighter?
Totally, yeah. It's the way of the future, right? So, shall we tell folks what's coming up today, Sal?
Yeah, absolutely. In a very short while, we've got Matt bringing us today's talk, and that is about what gets you through. Matt will be talking about the next section in Mark and what gets you through. So that'll be brilliant, I'm sure, Matt. As always, no pressure this afternoon. And then after that, we will be having a bit of time of reflection. There will be a song which you can listen to or join in with if you want to or not. But it's a really good time to kind of reflect before. After that, we're then going to come on to a discussion. So the discussion will be all around Matt's talk and what he's got to say today. So that time of reflection is really, really good to have a little think about the things that you want to draw out, the questions you want to ask. And Matt and I will be there to discuss those questions. So do get involved in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what have we got after that, Matt? We've got a catch up, haven't we? That's our usual weekly catch up.
Yep. From the very long haired Josh, we've got our weekly catch up video coming. And then that we hope to finish, I guess, around 4:45, 5 o'clock. Somewhere between there is our usual target sort of end time. So do stick around with us for the next 45, 50 minutes or so. And as Sal said, one of the really cool things about CROWD, one of the things that I really love is after the talk, we do this thing, Conversation Street, and we do get to chat through some thoughts, some ideas, your comments, your ideas. So do keep commenting and do keep suggesting, stuff in the comments.
Absolutely.
It'd be great to hear from you.
Matt, I'm just going to have a little slurp of my tea. I made the mistake of having a digestive biscuit just before we went live.
This is what we call professionalism.
You know when you feel like your mouth is getting stuck to your teeth. So just sorry about that, everybody. I just needed to have a little bit of a refresh there. That's better.
As long as you're refreshed, that's the main thing, right?
Yeah.
So we've got Susan. Hey, Susan. Trev. Hey, Trev.
Great to have you with us.
Yeah, it's good to see you both. Absolutely, it is. So welcome along to CROWD. Great that you're here. Now, shall we jump straight into it? Shall we just jump on right in?
I think we should. Let's hear what you've got to say this week, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. So this, again, for those of you new to CROWD Church, we have been working our way through Mark's Gospel. We are nearing the end of the journey through the story here.
It's been a long journey, Matt, hasn't it? It's been a long journey.
We've been doing this for over 18 months now, so it's been going on a while, let me tell you. So we're about 3 or 4 weeks from the end, I think, something like that. Anyway,
it's incredible how much we've been able to get out of this one book in the Bible when you think about it. And if you want to see any of the other talks, you can find them on our website. Is that right, Matt? All those other talks that we've done on CROWD on that website?
You can, absolutely. So you are totally bang on. So you can go to crowd.church if you want to see any of the other videos, catch up, and also find out a bit more about us. If you'd like to know more, just go to www.crowd.church to find out all of that information. So as we've said, right, we're working our way through Mark's Gospel, and we're now getting into the section where it's the crucifixion. So this is kind of a follow-on from what we've been talking about over the last few weeks. Don't worry if you missed the last few weeks, you'll catch up really quickly. So here we go. Let's carry on with Mark's Gospel. We are going to read the story about the crucifixion today because we've got to that stage in our journey through Mark's Gospel. And it's worth stating right here at the start, before we read this story, that it is not, at least on the surface level, a very joyful story. And if you think about the last few weeks, right, Sharon looked at how heading to the cross, Jesus was taking upon himself the anger and wrath of God. Sally looked at the betrayal of Jesus by Judas. James looked at the injustice of his arrest. And last week we looked at Jesus' trial and understood how people-pleasing decided the outcome of those events. These have been some fairly hard-hitting topics to talk about and to deal with. The messiness and the horror of life, right? And the reality of the gruesomeness of it sometimes. And you know what? The Bible really gets into the hard stuff, the suffering, the betrayal, the greed of humanity, and all its failings, as well as all the amazing stuff of humanity. So you know what? We can be okay with the fact that this is hard and difficult to talk about. So what do you do when life is like this? And that's our question today, isn't it? What do you think about in the dark times? What gets you through? Now, I've heard, and I'm sure you have heard, stories of people who, like me, will have hard times thought about loved ones, maybe their kids, maybe their wife, maybe their spouse, whatever. And that's what gets them through. But what about Jesus? What does he think about that gets him through the dark times? We're going to read this story of the crucifixion. It's not a great time. So how does he deal with it? Hebrews 12:2 says this, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame. Jesus endures the cross. He despises the shame of it, those real and awful and raw emotions that Jesus is feeling and must be feeling. And we can think about that as we read through the story. But he endures all of it because of what the Bible says was the joy that was set before him. It's a really interesting phrase, isn't it? This whole idea of the joy that was set before him was what got him through. So what's that joy? Well, that joy is you and it is me. It is humanity. We are the reason that Jesus chose this path. And as odd as it sounds, despite the pain and the emotions, he found joy in the midst of all of this darkness. And it's because of that and thinking about that, that's what keeps him going. And the amazing thing is, you are that joy, right? You and I are what got Jesus through the dark times. Imagine that, right? As he's going through this whole affair, as we read about the crucifixion, he gets through it by thinking of you and of me. I mean, that should tell you something right there of the value that God places on mankind. That's the gospel. That's the good news. So with that in mind, let's work our way through the story. Now, I've taken the accounts of the different accounts from the Gospels. We've put them together to try and create a bit more of a complete narrative, okay? So here we go. The soldiers took Jesus into the palace, called Praetorium, and called together the entire brigade. They dressed him up in purple and put a crown plaited from a thorn bush on his head. Then they began their mockery. "Bravo, King of Jews!" They banged on his head with a club, spat on him, and knelt down in mock worship. After they had had their fun, they took off the purple cape and put his own clothes back on him. Then they marched him out to nail him to the cross. You don't need much imagination here to get the horror of what is happening. And as I read about these soldiers, spurring one another on to abuse somebody who has no ability, it seems, to fight back, they're cowards, aren't they? They're acting big in front of each other. We'd call them bullies, plain and simple. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I used to get bullied a fair amount, right? I had ginger hair. I had national health glasses, which were glasses supplied by the government free of charge that were devoid of any kind of design aesthetic. Let's just put it like that, right? I had asthma, so I wasn't strong and I wasn't sporty. I basically had all the characteristics of someone who would get bullied, and I did. And you know what? I am sorry if you were bullied too, and that's affected you. And cowards kind of do what they do and spur each other on. And we see humanity at its worst in these situations, don't we? But I'm also encouraged because the Bible is pretty clear on this matter. As men and women of God, we need to stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. James talked about this a couple of weeks ago. When it talked about injustice and bringing justice to the world, we have to break the mold, not perpetuate it. We can't be like those soldiers and do all those horrific things. There was a man walking by coming from work, Simon the Cyrene, the father of Alexander and Rufus. They made him carry Jesus' cross. The soldiers brought Jesus to Golgotha, meaning School Hill. They offered him a mild painkiller, wine mixed with myrrh, but he wouldn't take it, and they nailed him to the cross. Now, and without getting too graphic here, I don't know if you have seen the movie The Passion of the Christ. It came out around 2004 and was directed by the famous actor Mel Gibson. Right? He was in all the movies when I was growing up. And this movie paints a very harrowing but very real picture of the final hours of Christ's life. And in that movie, there is a scene where Jesus is nailed to the cross. And in that clip, you see the hands of the soldier. You don't see the soldier, just the soldier's hands with a nail in one and a big hammer, hammering Jesus's hand to the cross. And that scene stands out because it was a cameo by Gibson himself. He didn't really star in the movie, but he did this. All you saw was his hand, the hammer and the nails. So when asked why he chose that particular scene, he simply said this: "It was me that put him on the cross. It was my sins that put him there." And that's how you have to read this, right? It wasn't the Romans nailing Christ to the cross. It was us. It could have just as easily been my hands with that hammer and nail. And as crazy as it sounds, the thing that Jesus is thinking about that is helping him endure the cross, despising the shame, it's that joy that's set before him. These people, the very people, you, me, everybody, the very people nailing him to the cross. It's remarkable, right? So when they crucified him, the Roman soldiers took his clothes and divided them up 4 ways, to each soldier a fourth. But his robe was seamless, a single piece of weaving. So they said to each other, "Let's not tear it up. Let's throw dice to see who gets it." They confirmed the scripture that said, "They divided up my clothes among them and threw dice for my coat." The soldiers validated the scriptures. And they nailed him up at 9 o'clock in the morning. The charge against him, "The King of Jews," was printed on a poster. And along with him, they crucified 2 criminals, one to his right and the other to his left. Jesus prayed, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." Now, this is a very well-known piece of scripture. So here's my good friend Lisa to share what she thinks about that passage.
What I love about this passage is what it tells me about who Jesus was and who Jesus is for us today. He's just been horrendously tortured, he's been humiliated, he's been mocked, and now he's hanging on a cross with nails in his hands and his feet, and he's between 2 criminals, and yet he hasn't committed a crime. He doesn't deserve to be there. He's done nothing wrong. And when I think about this passage, I try to imagine what I would have done in his place, what prayer I might have prayed. And I certainly can't imagine praying what Jesus prayed in probably his darkest moment, his moment of agony and distress and suffering. He asks God to forgive the people that have done this to them. He asks God to forgive the people that have tortured him and the people that are murdering him. What an incredible thing to do in that situation. Probably what you would expect anybody else to do is to be angry in that situation at the injustice and be praying and asking God, "Why aren't you stopping this? I don't deserve to be here. Why don't you do something about it?" Or potentially, because Jesus knows that this is part of God's plan, he knows that he's going to rise again, he's going to have the victory, as horrific as it is to go through. He could have been tempted to pray to his Father and say, "Father, it's okay, we know we've got the victory here. We know that soon they'll see how wrong they are to do this. Soon they'll see what a big mistake they've made." He doesn't pray that either. Instead, it's this incredible moment of humility and grace and mercy and compassion all rolled into one. And what that means for me today, I feel, is that when I mess up, when I get things wrong, when I'm not in a good place, I know that when I come to Jesus, that he meets me with that same compassion, it's that same love, that same mercy and grace. That's how he is towards me, and that is an amazing thing.
People passing along the road jeered, shaking their heads in mock lament. "You bragged that you could tear down the temple and then rebuild it in 3 days. So show your stuff. Save yourself. If you're really God's son, come down from that cross." Now, how many of us do something similar? If you're God's, do this. End world hunger. Stop the suffering. If you're God, get rid of evil. If you're God, come down from that cross. If you're God, prove it. It's an interesting thing, isn't it, when we compare some of the things that we do, maybe. Now, the high priests, along with the religious scholars, were right there mixing it up with the rest of them, having a great time poking fun at him. He saved others, but he can't save himself. Messiah, is he? King of Israel? Then let him climb down from that cross. We'll all become believers then. Even the men crucified alongside him joined in the mockery. Wow. If he does this, we'll all become believers then. That's a total lie by the religious leaders. Not at all. They would have just hung him back on the cross. There's no doubt in my mind, right? I read this, and you know what? I have to ask myself, would I have done any differently if I'd have been part of that crowd? Would I have joined in the mockery as well? Now, I like to think that I wouldn't have done, sat here in my comfortable chair and with the beauty of hindsight reading this, but I think I probably would have. I think I would have probably followed the crowd. Because you know what? In all of this, I realise that I'm English. And if the English are very good at doing one thing, they are brilliant at mocking. It's part of our DNA. Oh yes, sarcasm kind of runs through our veins. Now, sure, some of it is in good humour, and I like that type of humour. I like the banter. But I have to make sure that I don't find myself being like these other religious leaders and taking it too far, and mock those whom I deem lesser than me, or those who are in a bad place. Or even worse, mock God. God, if you're really God, then blah, 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 blah. It's mockery. One of the criminals hanging alongside cursed him. Some Messiah you are. Save yourself. Save us. But the other one made him shut up. Have you no fear of God? You're getting the same as him. We deserve this, but not him. He did nothing to deserve this. Then he said, Jesus, remember me when you enter your kingdom. He said, don't worry, I will. Today you will join me in paradise. Wow. Just wow. Here's Dan to talk about that.
How different are the two reactions from the criminals? I do wonder how I would have reacted. Would have been all defeated and just looked at the current situation, joined in with the crowd. A bit like the first criminal that was shouting at Jesus, some Messiah you are, save yourself, save us. I mean, look at him. Jesus is dying, he's in pain, like me. How can he be God? Yes, by all accounts, I've heard he's done amazing things at the moment. Those things don't seem to be helping him. At the moment, it's all gone a bit wrong. It's gone extremely wrong. It seems to be over. I'm with a crowd. Or would I have said, what if it's true? What if he's God? What if he loves me like the other criminal? I mean, he's just forgiven those that have tortured him, those that are currently mocking him, including the other guy on the cross. For what I've seen, he's not done anything wrong. They can't even think of a great placard to sum up what he's supposed to have done. And if I was that other criminal, I'd know I deserve this. This was the price for my bad deeds. But he doesn't deserve it, yet he's going through with it. Some of the miracles I've heard he did, surely he could have do another one that would get him off this cross if he wanted to. Perhaps I'm like that other criminal, that's what I'd like to think. I'm going to ask him if he'll have me. And Jesus says, today you'll be with me in paradise. I believe this is what we can expect from Jesus when we cry out in whatever situation, whatever time of life. As a child, an adult, on our deathbed, Jesus doesn't and didn't hold a grudge. The criminal said, oh Jesus, remember me. And Jesus replies, today you'll be with me in paradise. I believe, and this story shows us God's character, that when we ask anything of Jesus, he hears, listens and responds to us.
While the soldiers were looking after themselves, Jesus' mother, his aunt, Mary the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene stood at the foot of the cross. Jesus saw his mother and the disciple he loved standing near her. He said to his mother, woman, here is your son. Then to the disciple, here is your mother. And from that moment, the disciple accepted her as his own mother. And at noon, the sky became extremely dark. Wow. I mean, hats off to Jesus, right? In the worst possible point of his life, he's still thinking about his mum and looking out for his mum. We can all learn from that, right? And what started out early in the morning with Jesus being nailed at the cross at 9 o'clock, by the time we get to noon, the Bible says it becomes extremely dark. Not just dark, extremely dark. Because this was a really dark time for humanity, metaphorically as well as physically. Now, over the next 3 weeks, we are going to look at why it was dark. We're going to look at the death, the burial, and then the resurrection of Christ. And we're going to dig into these important issues. Why did Jesus do this? Why did Mel Gibson say it was my sin that nailed Jesus to the cross? Why did Jesus have to die? What did I do that caused this? How could it have been my hands 2,000 years ago? Surely that's an historic event. Now, these are all really important questions and ones that we are going to be looking at in the coming weeks. So make sure you subscribe or head on over to the website and let us know your email, and we will notify you of what's happening and what is coming up. But remember, right, really remember this. The key to all of this is that Jesus is choosing this path. He said that no man can take my life, but I lay it down freely. See, all of this, all of the pain, all of the anguish, the shame, the horror, the cowardice, the bullying, the mockery, the betrayal, in this place of extreme darkness, Jesus is getting through it because of the joy that's set before him. And you are that joy. And you have to hold this tension when you're reading about this. It's the most incredible story. It's the most incredible tale of God's love for mankind. As Jesus was nailed to the cross, you were on his mind. And it's what kept him going. And this, well, and perhaps answers our question, what do you think of to keep you going when things are extremely dark and tough? See, for Jesus, it was you, it was me, it was humanity. But what about you? When you find times are dark, when you find times are hard, what do you think of that keeps you going? As I said at the start, put your answers in the comment. We are going to get into this in Conversation Street, that's for sure. But here's maybe a little parting thought. I think of Jesus. And I think of Jesus at this time, the time of the crucifixion, making these unbearable choices. And I tell you what, as I do, I become grateful. Even in the midst of the dark trials and times that I'm in, I start to become grateful because I realize he's my joy. He's my joy that's set before me. And because of that, I can endure. It's a really interesting thing, isn't it? So, what about you? Write your answers in the comments. I will be back with Sal very, very soon.
Wow, thanks, Matt. Absolutely brilliant talk. Loads for us to discuss. Matt said, you and I are what got Jesus through that most awful time. So we want you to tell us what gets you through those really difficult times. What gets you through those? Put it in the comments, let us know, and we can have a discussion about it after this. We're going to go into a time of worship now. We're just going to play a song. The amazing John and Anna Grace have recorded this song for us, King of My Heart. And we're just going to sing this song if you want to, or you could just read the words and just think about what the words mean. Just a couple of bits from the song I want to kind of bring out, as it talks about that God will never let you down. And I think when we're let down by lots of people in our lives, to know that there is someone who will never let us down is an incredible thing. And that he is good. It says in this song that he is good. God is good, and he has got good things for you. So let's get into this song now. Put your comments in, and then we'll have a discussion after this.
Let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom of my life. Oh, he is my song. You are good. You're good. Oh, 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 let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. For you are good. You're good. Oh, and you are good. You're good. Oh, and you are good. You're good. Oh, and you are good. You're good. And you're never gonna let me down. 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 You're never gonna let me down. And you're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. And you're never gonna let me down. You are good. You're good. Oh, 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 you are good. You're good. Oh.
There we go.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
There we go. Great
Not
song.
John and Anna Grace, as I said before. Sorry, guys. It was the Titheridge family, their amazing version of King of My Heart. Love that.
It was very good version of that song as well. Very, very. My camera's gone blurry again. Excuse me while I do this. There we go.
Just can't cope, Matt, with the new look. Your camera's just like trying to focus in. Is that Matt? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. It's the glory radiating from me, Sal, obviously, that's causing.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. Great talk, Matt. Thank you for that. Really, really good.
Bless you. Thanks, Sal.
Did you find it challenging preparing that?
Yeah, because there's so much you can't talk about. So it's quite a long piece of scripture when you pull it all together from the various different sources. And so the challenge is always the bits that you don't talk about in that kind of environment. And so what do you talk about? And the thing that really intrigued me was this whole idea of actually, when Jesus is going through this, we talked about the injustice of it last time. But when he's going through it, what gets him through? What is he thinking about? And when you tie that story in with that verse from Hebrews about how who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross and despised its shame in Hebrews 12, then that story takes on a whole different meaning. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
and that
absolutely.
was that whole kind of, oh wow, so what do we think about when we go through the tough times? And I'm the thing that struck me, the thing that challenged me in all of this was the very thing that he was thinking about was the very people that was crucifying him. It's a really hard thing, isn't it? If you're having a hard time from somebody, you don't think about them to get you through that hard time. It's just
no, not usually, not in a positive way. That's for sure. You might be planning what you would like to happen to them, but that's probably about as much as time as you're going to want to give them, isn't it? So it is incredible. I think one of the things as well that people do, just thinking about that, and I repeated it again before about what you said about it being you and me that got Jesus through those tough times. I think people disqualify themselves. They're like, oh yes, definitely Matt, possibly Sally, but not me. And I think that people, kind of disqualify themselves from that. And it's really important, I think, that no, we're talking about you. We're talking about everyone.
Yeah.
Nobody is exempt from that. And I think that's a really, really important thing to remember. Yeah,
it is a really good point that actually you're right. Fundamentally, it's all of us. And there's no favorites in God's kingdom. Although years ago, there used to be a website called godsfavorite.com.
Here we go.
And
did you set that up, Matt?
I totally set that up. Yeah. And do you know what was on it? There was nothing on that website just apart from a picture of me, right? And so I set up this website called godsfavorite.com and just literally put my photo.
I was joking.
No. I actually did this because I used to have arguments all the time with Dave Conley, who's one of the founding pastors of Frontline Church, about who God's favorite was. And so he would say it was him and I would say it was me. So then I'd set up this website and I told him to Google it one day and he did. And of course my picture came up and then that was the end of that discussion.
Amazing. I love that. Completely not true, but I still love it.
Completely not true. But the thing about it, my thinking was in all of this, right, was that you're right. You can often disqualify yourself when it comes to thinking about the love of God. And my reasoning was that God has no favorites, therefore everybody is his favorite. And to think of myself not as better as anybody else, but just to think of myself as actually someone like that is quite it's quite an amazing thing when you think about it. Do you know what I mean? To try and get your head around. So whilst it was a bit of banter and a bit of fun, it also helped me deal with a few insecurities I may have been dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people do. I mean, Nicola said in the comments that she used to always disqualify herself. And I think lots of people do that. Lots of people don't feel worthy, but we're not. That's the point, isn't it? We're not worthy, but Jesus chose us anyway.
Exactly.
And that's the incredible thing.
Yeah.
So brilliant as well from Lisa and Dan. Thank you so much for sharing as part of that as well, Dan and Lisa. So I've got
great, weren't they?
Next question. Is Dan said about which criminal he thought he might be. Which criminal do you think you would have been?
I wouldn't have been a criminal. I wouldn't have got caught. No. Let's.
That's more like it. Yeah.
No, I think you sort of start off as one, which kind of rejects God and says, I don't get you, I don't understand you, what are you doing, what are you playing at? To you eventually, at some point, hopefully become the other one, which goes, I might not get it, I might not understand it, but hey, let me in. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And I thought that was really interesting what Dan said there. So I would say we start off as one, and hopefully we can make it to the other. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I hope so. I kind of think, like you said about being part of the crowd, I think if I was there, I probably would just have gone along with the crowd. You always hope you wouldn't have, but in that situation, you just don't know really, do you? But,
No.
The grace of God is that we don't have to put ourselves in that position. But we still have a choice to make, don't we? We still have a choice of who we believe Jesus is.
Yeah, we do.
Right, let's have a little look at some of the comments. So Sharon said, when things are hard, I look to what God says in the Bible about my situation and focus my thoughts on specific verses. This helps me massively, and talking and praying with friends is also good. Loads in that one little comment there, loads of things that can be really, really helpful when you're going through tough times.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and she's right, I mean, she's my wife, so she's bound to be right. So I think Sharon is correct that one of the things that I've seen her do over the years, and one of the things I massively respect about her, when things don't go well, it's easy to question why, and you could leave it there, and that's fine in some respects. But what I've seen her do over the years is just literally, she will go to the Bible and she'll start to dig out, what does God say about this? What do I see in Scripture about this situation? And that builds in her such a remarkable faith. Faith that maybe God will either turn it around, or faith maybe that God will turn her around. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if those situations don't get turned around, there's still faith that God's good and in control of the whole thing. So I've seen Sharon do that for many years, and can testify, actually, it's a brilliant way to approach life.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Actually, that really reminded me of something that's really helped me over the years. Is my incredible sister-in-law, Charlotte. She's
a legend.
She is a legend. She's so wise and so wonderful. And she used to say to me, just pray, change or remove. Change or remove. It's such a simple thing, because sometimes when you're in a really difficult situation, actually praying can be really difficult. But she said, no, just pray, change or remove. Either change the situation, remove the whoever it is from the situation, or remove the situation, or change me. And times when I've actually done that, it's been amazing. Sometimes both have happened. I've changed, that person's changed, and the situation has changed. It is incredible. And it's just that simple change or remove. So I've been really grateful for that little kind of wise thing that I've taken with me through my life. That's really, really helped me.
I'm curious, Sal, what's the ratio between change and remove?
I know, it's probably 50-50.
Yeah. How many times does God end up changing you versus... It's
never.
Always...
Never. That's never happened. So maybe it will in the future. But that's happened once or twice. But what is amazing is that I have changed, and the thing has been removed in a kind of an amazing way. So it's obviously it's not a magic wand that you can pray over a situation and it just. But the times when it has helped me so much in my life, it's been pretty incredible. So I would recommend that if you're not sure what to do, that's a very, very easy and simple place to start. Yeah,
absolutely. So
right, let's have a little look.
Putting here Romans 8:32. That's right, Romans 8 verse 32. What Lisa said reminded her of this verse: for God has proved his love by giving us his greatest treasure, the gift of his son, and since God freely offered him up as the sacrifice for us all, he certainly won't withhold any good thing from us. I mean, that's one of those amazing verses, isn't it? Romans 8, where because God did this, there's no good thing that he's now going to withhold from us, which I just think is fantastic. So
absolutely. Trev says he heard the phrase this week from a poem, the horizon of hope, and that his hope is in Jesus, and Jesus is always there for him and for anybody who calls out to him, which is absolutely right, isn't it? The horizon of hope. That's a really nice way of thinking about it. Thanks, Trev. Love that.
Yeah, love that. Very, very good. Very, very good. Now, I feel like we could carry on talking about this for a bit of a while. Please do keep joining in the comments and leaving your comments whilst we watch Catch Up. So we'll bring Catch Up onto the screen. We'll watch that, and then Sal will be back, as will I, in just a few minutes' time. Oh, press the wrong button. Let's try that again.
Hello and welcome to this week's Sunday Catch-Up. For those of you who don't know me, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Josh Edmondson. I'm a member of the team here at CROWD Church, and I'm a student at the University of St Andrews studying physics. For those of you who have never watched the stream before, welcome. It's really great to have you here. Let me just quickly explain what Catch-Up actually is. Every week we'll get in pictures and videos from members of the community and put them up in this little segment called Catch-Up, just so that everyone gets to see what people are getting up to. Now, if you have watched the stream before, you know this is the part where I would typically go, in usual fashion, I will kick off with something I have been up to this week. However, we're doing it slightly differently today. I have some very exciting news. As a matter of fact, we have a new member of the Catch-Up team. Oh yes, I know, it's very, very exciting news. Elias Sopwith, you may have seen his stuff on the stream over the past few weeks. I thought it would be nice, instead of hearing my normal ramblings, to call Elias, see how he felt about being part of the Catch-Up team, and see what he'd been up to this week instead of myself. So let's give Elias a call. Gosh, it's taken a lot to get to this point, but we're here. Elias, how do you feel about being the latest and only new addition to the Catch-Up team?
I was feeling good until you said only new addition, Josh. I thought I can't take that some prestige a little bit, but yeah, it's exciting. It's a new experience for me.
So Elias, what have you been up to this week?
Ooh. It's been a busy week, Josh. There's been this and that. Well, even today I had some little exciting adventure, actually. I went to church this morning, went to Gateway. It was a nice service. And I was on my way back, got a nice little McDonald's with some friends, a little snack. Not too big, just like a little one for lunch, like a little starter. And then we were cycling back down the road. My bike broke.
Oh, no. Oh.
But yeah, it wasn't like a put a chain back on problem. It was like we might need some tools for this kind of problem. We were on the big row of houses towards sort of like John Lennon Airport. So we had to sort of knock on someone's house. We needed a spanner. So we ran to lots of different people, just knocking on their doors, just like, "Can we have a spanner, please?" We tried 6 different houses. People pulled up. We thought they were stopping for us, but they were just going into their driveway. But Pete's gonna have a spanner. A little spanner in the boot of his car. It was a Mercedes, so he got it out, fixed the bikes. I was half hoping he might just give us a new bike or something, because these are big rich houses, Like it was like a lift home in their Range Rover. That would been too much for us, but yeah.
Oh,
so, yeah.
No luck there though.
No, not quite.
Maybe you just have to try a little bit harder. Maybe if the bike breaks more dramatically next time, like you're like, "Sorry, my bike's split in half. Do you think you could help me with this?"
Add a broken leg to the mix, maybe. That should increase the sympathy.
That's the challenge there, is to see if you can somehow get a free bike.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing that, Elias. It's great to hear what someone else has been up to during their week, rather than listening to myself ramble on again. Would you be willing to take us into the Catch-Up clips?
Yes, I can, Josh. So now we view the clips, what everyone's been doing this week. And maybe it's exciting as me, maybe not. I mean, who's to say? But yeah, here we are.
Great, thank you very much for sending all those in. It's always great seeing what everyone has been getting up to. If you want to see your stuff on Catch-Up, and we would love to have your stuff on Catch-Up, you can either send in your pictures and videos to the WhatsApp number that you will have seen on the bottom of the screen throughout the stream. Again, so much rhyming, I need to figure out a different way to say this. Or you can use the hashtag CrowdCatchup on Instagram. That's all from me this week. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.
Oh, that ended quickly.
Oh yeah, there we are, back live.
Wow. I tell you what, the first time it didn't end quick enough, and then the second time it ends way too quick. I just know.
So it's probably evened itself out there then, Matt, with your screen time. You're probably okay.
Yeah, good. Phew. That's your fault. That's your fault. Anyway.
Why is that my fault?
Because you asked for it earlier on that you wanted me to level out screen time.
Oh yeah. Okay, true. I'll take that. That's fine.
So apparently we now have a catch-up team, and apparently you have to have really long hair to be a part of it. So good on you. Well done, Elias. Welcome to the team. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah,
it's good you've got some help. I think we should do like a before and after. Do you know what I mean? Like catch up 12 months ago and catch up what it's like now. You'll see Josh's hair change dramatically.
Yes, definitely.
Nicola said here, I feel so old because I used to babysit these two.
You are old, Nicola. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't just feel it, you are it.
That's the beauty of digital church.
Wow. Nicola, I want you to know I was not agreeing with her then.
Matt told me to say that. Nicola likes to do that. The question, she gives us a question, which I really love. And the question that we've got this week is too upsetting for me to actually answer. How many chickens would it take to kill an elephant? That's horrible. That's horrible. I don't think if you had 1 million chickens, they'd just sit on it. They wouldn't do anything. Chickens are weird. They would just sit there and like peck.
You've never had chickens, have you, Sal?
No.
No, hence the reason you sound like you don't know what you're talking about, really, a little bit.
Okay. maybe they'd suffocate it in eggs if there were so many eggs like covering it. Maybe.
You never know.
I can't imagine that they would. No. Chickens aren't vicious, are they? Are chickens vicious?
No, well, if they feel like they're threatened, they're going to peck you, and it's going to hurt. Let me tell you, I've been pecked once or twice. We have chickens. Well, we've not got them now, but I've got a chicken coop to see the side of this window where we used to have them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, they were great. And I think actually, Nicola, the quality of your questions needs to go up a little bit because that's a bit of a. I don't know. I'm with Sal on that one. I'm not quite sure on that question, but there you go. You've got 7 days to think of a bit. We do. Yeah. People are tuning in. They're watching this. Who's this Nicola, and why have they just mocked her for being old and coming up with strange questions?
Well, we did say it was the British way, so sorry about that.
That's true. Did you agree with that when I said that? When the British they're known for their mockery and their sarcasm?
Yeah, I think so. I think, in a group of friends, you're always going to be sort of taking the mickey out of each other a little bit, which is maybe a bit harsh, but it's the British way. I'm not saying that's right, but I do find it quite...
Did you feel convicted in any way?
No, because I don't use sarcasm at all.
Oh, love it.
Let's talk about next week, Matt.
Yeah. Hang on. Let me put this number on the screen. Sal, do me a favour. Point to the number.
Okay.
So, no. Turn it around. There you go.
There you go.
I don't need sarcasm. I just need a WhatsApp number on the screen.
There you go. Right, I'll just do it in one go. Oh, it's gone. Oh, I'll just point straight at it then. That's fine.
Yeah, something like that. Listen, let's focus. What's happening next week? Do you know?
I do know. I know that Anna Grace is doing the talk next week, which is going to be amazing. So we'll look forward to hearing that. Mm-hmm. I know that you are leading, but not with me, sadly, because I won't be around next week. So have you got a guest co-presenter, Matt? Or
we have. We've got Rach Marshall is going to be joining us next week to host CROWD. She's been on CROWD Church before in a number of videos, so it'd be great to have Rach. But we're going to miss you, Sal. We're totally going to miss you.
Thanks, Matt.
I'm sure Nicola's going to miss you.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll be watching along. I'll put my comments in, so you can't get rid of me that easily.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough. Well, listen, thanks for watching. I think that's probably about it for this week. So like Sal said, next week, do come join us. We'll be back here again at 4 p.m. I will put this number on the screen just to remind you that if you would like to get in touch with us, while Sal points to it, if you would like to get in touch with us, you can use that number right there on the screen. There you go. And there it is. Yeah, well done straight away, Sal. Well done. Such a clever girl. You can get in touch with us via the WhatsApp numbers. If you've got anything you would like us to pray for, then please do let us know. If you watch this and you've been watching this a few weeks and you're not really part of any church, then why not consider making CROWD Church your home? We'd love it if you did. You would be more than welcome. You can, of course, also head on over to our website, CROWD.church, crowd.church. Go to that website, have a look at about who we are. But if you get there, make sure you let us know your name and email, because we just send out an email once a week letting you know what's coming up in the live stream, and also the links to all the catch-up videos in case you missed the live, which we know many of you watching this do watch it on catch-up. So we can let you have all that information in the email. Just put your details on the website. That would be fantastic. So,
yeah,
absolutely. Now,
absolutely.
We will see you all next week. Thank you so much. Oh, let me just see you down here. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. It's been great to be with you. Thanks for joining us here at CROWD Church. We will see you again next week. Just to warn you, we're going to close out with a worship song. I should have said this earlier. The way we close out CROWD Church is we just play a song, a worship song, which you're more than welcome to stick around for, hang out in the comments, sing along, and the live stream will end automatically when this song has finished. So I think that's all from me. Bye for now.
Bye for now, everyone. Have a brilliant week. Bye.
Bye.
When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my richest gain I count but loss and pour contempt on all my pride. Forbid it, Lord, that I should boast, save in the death of Christ my God. All the vain things that charm me most, I sacrifice them to His blood. See from His head, His hands, His feet, sorrow and love flow mingled down. Did as such love and sorrow meet, or thorns compose, so rich a crown. I thank you for the cross, I thank you for the cross, I thank you for the cross, my Lord. I thank you for the cross, I thank you for the cross, I thank you for the cross, my Lord. Were the whole realm of nature mine,
I thank you for the cross, my Lord. I thank you for the cross. I